Good day, good people. Phaedra Dion here from the SBG Tuts YouTube channel. I wanted to make another quick video on print then cut because people are still sending me questions about how to do it even after they've watched the two videos that I have posted. Something that I wanted to amplify about print and cut is the flattening process. So let's go into Design Space. Let's click on New Project and we're going to go to Shapes and we're going to get a free shape. Let's get the rounded rectangle and I'm going to come up to size and click the lock to unlock it, and I'm going to make the width 8.5 and I'm going to make the height 5.5, and then I'll click the lock to lock it back. What I'm going to do with this is make a card. So I want to do a print and cut with a piece of cardstock. I'm going to have my printer print out my design, and then I'm going to have my Cricut score and cut. So let's go up to the color and I'm just going to make it white so I can see it. Then let's go back to shapes and let's get the score line, and I'm going to change it from 2.5 to 5.5. And then I'm going to select both the score line and my rounded rectangle, and I will center both ways. So now what's going to happen is the Cricut is going to score it and I'll be able to fold it in half. Now let's go to images and I'm going to put in thinking of you, because this is going to be a card for someone who needs encouragement. And then I will switch to free and I will scroll until I see the thing that piques my interest. Okay, I like this one. Do it for you, not for them. So I'm going to click it and load it up and then add it to my canvas. And I will drag it to the right side of my card. And I'll go up to size and change the size from 4 to 5. Because remember, my card is 8.5 by 5.5. And I'll just eyeball it to where I think it should be. I like that placement, so I'm going to go with it. Let's do a save. I'm really bad about saving, so I'm going to do a save. This is a tutorials file for me. So I'm going to come up and put card, do it for you, not for them, and save it. As I mentioned at the beginning, this print and cut tutorial is to amplify the flattening process. And I wanted to do this because it seems this is where a lot of the questions after my first two videos are coming from. It's not that people are not doing the flattening portion, it's that they're not necessarily doing the flattening correctly. So let's talk about it. So if we look over here in the layers panel, we have the two layers that came in with the image. So one layer is the hearts and the other layer is the letters. Then we have a score line and then we have a rectangle. So what we want to do, or what we want our printer to do, is to print all of the hearts and letters. And then we want to be able to take that printed document with the registration marks, put it in our Cricut, and have the Cricut score it down the middle and then cut it around the rounded rectangle. What we don't want to happen is we don't want it to try to cut out every single heart separately and then every single letter. So this is where we flatten. So if we go here to do it for you, not for them, and we choose flatten, and then we select everything and attach, this is not going to get us the results that we want, because what's going to happen is it's going to print it out perfectly. We're going to put it on the mat or put it on smart paper, and we are going to send it through the Cricut, and the Cricut is going to start cutting out every single letter in every single heart. Even though we flatten, it's going to do that. So I am going to detach. I am going to go back. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to flatten everything. I need to flatten everything, but notice my flatten button is grayed out, is disabled. That's because the score line is not something that can be flattened. It is a physical thing that the Cricut is going to do. So I need to take the score line out. So I'm going to click away if it lets me. And then I'm going to click to have the do it for you, not for them. I'm going to hold down Control or Command, and I'm going to click the rectangle. So these two things I'm going to flatten. And then after it prints and I put it in on the mat or on the smart paper and it goes through, the first thing it's going to do is score it. Then it's just going to cut out my rectangle. Everything needs to be flattened together. You can't flatten the score line because it's a totally different thing, a totally different function for the Cricut, but it still can exist outside and be done by your Cricut. If you don't have everything in one flattened layer, then the Cricut is going to cut out one thing and then another thing. And that one thing in this case is going to be several things. It's going to cut out every single word and all of the hearts. So you got to get it all together in one. So if we didn't have a score line and you didn't see this, this is what you want to have when you flatten. Even if you have several groups, you still need to have just one flattened layer with everything in it. So now that we have our product flattened correctly, we can go to attach. And I need to attach it so that the score line function happens. Then what I'm going to do is click Make It. And here's my document with the registration marks. And I'm going to click Continue. And I'm going to say I've already printed, and I will just use this as my material to get to the next part. So the first thing that's going to happen is it's going to score it. So I can either use my scoring wheel or my scoring stylus. And I'll put my scoring stylus in clamp A, and then I'll put my fine point blade in clamp B and load my mat and let it do its thing. What's going to come out of this is the finished product with all my letters and hearts printed out. I'm going to have the 8.5 by 5.5 card cut out with a score down the middle so that I can fold it in half and write on the inside. Again, the most important part of the print and cut is the flattening process when you have many different layers. Everything needs to be flattened together. Even if you have separate groups of things, everything needs to be flattened together. So you don't want to just flatten the letters and hearts and then flatten the outside, because it's going to see those as two separate things. You want just one layer with everything that needs to be printed and then cut on one flattened layer. If you need help, leave me a comment. If you have questions, leave me a comment. And if you have a comment, leave me a comment. And thank you so much for watching.